Okay, let's unpack this. What if everything you thought you knew about the Bible was actually, well, a kind of profound psychological blueprint? A way to manifest your deepest desires.
It's a radical idea,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, we're talking about a really practical interpretation of these ancient texts, seeing them not as history, but as allegories for consciousness, for creation itself.
Mm-hmm.
Our deep dive today is centered on this source. Lesson 1. Consciousness is the only reality by Neville.
A really foundational piece.
Exactly. And our mission really is to pull out the key insights to show you how this ancient wisdom is framed as an actionable technique for real transformation.
Right. It's not just theory.
Not just about being informed, though, that's good too. It's about feeling empowered by this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's really fascinating right from the start is this core assertion. Consciousness is the one and only reality.
The only reality.
The only one. Just think about that for a second. If your inner world, your awareness is the sole reality, well, that completely changes where power actually lies, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's not just a nice philosophical thought, it's the bedrock. If you accept it, it sort of rewires your whole understanding of cause and effect.
That's already a huge starting point. But here's where it gets, for me, really interesting. How does this idea, consciousness being the only reality, connect with the Bible? I mean, for most people, those seem like totally separate worlds. How does Neville bridge that?
Well, the source suggests that the ancient storytellers, the ones who wrote the Bible, they weren't writing history like we think of it.
Okay.
It was more like an allegorical picture lesson designed to get across basic psychological principles.
Ah, psychological principles hidden in stories.
Exactly. It argues that for centuries, we've kind of mistaken the personifications for actual people. The allegory for history, the vehicle for the actual instruction.
Right.
The Bible's true life germ, that vital truth, it's hidden under all these layers.
Yeah.
Carible's personification.
Like peeling an onion.
Sort of, yeah. And importantly, the source says right up front, it's not going to waste time trying to convince you the Bible isn't historical.
Okay, so it assumes you're open to that.
Right. The aim is just to show its practical, psychological meaning,
Yeah.
to look at the purpose behind the stories.
Okay, so if this totally reframes how we read these texts, what does it mean when we look at something really fundamental like the names, the names of God and the Son? Are they just names?
Oh, absolutely not. Not just labels. The source reveals that the ancient Hebraic language wasn't really for breath explosion, as it calls it, not like how we speak. It was a mystical language, symbols, understood more like higher mathematics.
Okay, so less about sound, more about meaning.
Exactly. Conveying profound, abstract thought.
Right. This might sound a bit like ancient linguistics, but I guess understanding these symbols isn't just academic then. It's like getting the user manual for your own creative power.
That's a great way to put it. The manual is embedded in the language itself.
Okay, so let's unpack these symbols. Where do we start?
Let's start with Jodh-V-A-U-H-E, often translated as God or Jehovah.
Okay.
So J-O-D. It's symbolized as a hand or maybe a seed. This is your I amness,
Your basic
your fundamental sense of being, before any identity. Pure awareness. It's the director's hand shaping things.
Got it.
Then the first H-E, that's a window or an eye. This is your imagination.
Ah, the ability to see something mentally.
Your ability to perceive something that seems other than self. Looking out through the mind's window, basically.
Okay, makes sense.
VAU is next. It's a nail. Binding things.
Okay.
This symbolizes your ability to feel you are what you want to be. When you truly feel it, you nail the imaginary to your reality. You complete the creative act.
Wow, okay. The feeling is the nail.
And the second HE, another window or eye. This represents the visible, objective world around you.
The outside world.
Right. And the source says this world constantly bears witness to what you are conscious of being. You don't force it. It automatically molds itself to reflect your inner state.
So the world is like a mirror to our consciousness.
Pretty much, yes. And the big takeaway here is that assuming the feeling of what you want to be, that completes this divine name, Jodhevauhe, within you.
Completes the name.
Yes. And what you've imagined and truly felt as real, it then just automatically takes form, objectifies in your world. You don't have to sweat the how.
That's a powerful idea. Your inner state completes the divine process. So, okay, that raises a big question. If that's the Father's name, what about the Son? What power does that name imply for us, for individuals?
The Son's name, Johevau, Shin Ayam. It's very revealing.
Okay.
The first three letters are the same. Jodhevau.
Awareness, imagination, feeling.
Exactly. Your awareness of something, and then becoming aware of being that thing.
Yeah.
That fundamental creative power. That's what gives the sun, which is you, the individual dominion, control over your experience.
Okay, so the sun has the same core creative power, but there are extra letters.
Yes. A shich-en is added, symbolized as a tooth or maybe a flame.
Tooth or flame.
Okay.
What does that mean?
It represents infinite mercy, but specifically the mercy that allows the sun, which is man, to consume or detach from things he dislikes, mistakes he's created.
Ah, so like erasing things.
Kind of. See, the Father allegorically can't uncreate things. Once expressed, they exist in that larger dimension. But man, as the sun, has this power, S-H-I-N, to turn attention away, to detach, to effectively devour unwanted states in consciousness.
So they only persist if we keep feeding them attention.
Exactly. They only live in your objective world if you keep them alive inside. So knowing these two names, your consciousness and its powers, including this power to detach, that's what gives you real dominion.
Okay, so forget history class. These biblical texts are actually potent psychological dramas, blueprints for shaping reality.
That's the idea.
Let's dive into some examples then. How does this technique actually show up in the stories?
Right. The source insists these stories are exclusively about the power of imagination. They're dramatizations of the technique of prayer.
Prayer as a technique.
Yes. And prayer, understood this way, is the secret to changing your future. And crucially, man is the spring of action. Man is the one who grants the prayer, essentially to himself.
Wow. Okay, where's the first example?
Let's look right at the beginning,
Yeah.
Genesis 1. God creates man in his image, gives him dominion.
Okay.
The core insight, God and man are one. God is man's consciousness, your I amness.
So creation is consciousness becoming aware of itself as man.
In this sense, yes. And the drama of life then is psychological. Things happen because of our attitudes, our sustained assumptions, not just our actions. Your concept of yourself, that's the cornerstone.
So what you assume yourself to be.
Even if it seems false at first, if you sustain that assumption, it will harden into objective fact.
That really reframes Genesis 1. So if that sets the stage, do the next stories show the mechanics, how we actually do the creating?
Precisely. Take Genesis 2, Adam's deep sleep, and then later Genesis 32, Jacob wrestling the angel.
But deep sleep.
Crucial. The source highlights that a state akin to sleep helps you assume a state that your senses deny.
Like being drowsy.
Exactly. That relaxed, focused state. It sets the pattern for all creative acts. And Adam's rib, or sometimes thigh,
Yeah.
interpreted not literally, but as the soft parts that are creative in a man, symbolizing that you create your world out of yourself, your own inner substance.
Okay, creating from within. And Jacob wrestling.
Jacob means supplanter. He's wrestling an angel, which means a message or an idea. It symbolizes you struggling internally to feel yourself as your desired ideal.
The internal struggle to feel it real.
Yes. And when you succeed, when you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, something goes out of you. There's a temporary loss of desire, like satisfaction after a physical creative act.
Ah, so if you still feel hungry for the desire.
Then the idea hasn't fully exploded within you. You haven't quite become conscious of being it yet.
That's fascinating. The struggle isn't external, it's embodying the feeling. Okay, what's another layer? Maybe something more relational.
Good point. Let's look at Genesis 38, the story of Judah and Tamar.
Okay, Judah and Tamar.
Here, Tamar represents your most beautiful desire, your objective. She's called a palm tree in the desert, something incredibly desirable in a barren place.
Right.
And King Judah, notice his name also starts Jodhevau. He gives Tamar his ring, bracelets, and staff as a pledge.
Symbols of his kingship.
Exactly, representing his very self. This symbolizes that man's only real gift is himself, his own consciousness.
So to get your desire, you give yourself to it.
You become conscious of being it. To know your Tamar, your desire, and have her bear your likeness, you have to consciously embody being healthy or secure or noble or whatever it is you desire.
Giving of self is the assumption.
Yes. And that assumption then objectifies the world in harmony with it. Remember, all these characters, Judah, Tamar, they were just personifications of ideas inside your mind. You are Judah giving the pledge, you are Tamar receiving it and embodying the desire.
Okay, that's intricate. What about the story of Isaac, Esau, and Jacob? The blind father and the two sons.
Yes. Genesis 27. Incredibly instructive about the technique.
How so?
Isaac, the blind father, represents you. Blind to your goal with your physical senses, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can perceive it with your mind.
Mm.
Esau, the rough, hairy one.
Yeah.
He's your current reality, The world you can touch and see right now,
Yeah.
your present environment,
Okay, the what is.
and Jacob, the smooth-skinned supplanter. He represents your desired state, what you want to put in place of your current reality.
The what you want.
Right. Now, the technique isn't about fighting Esau, denying your current world. It's about removing your attention from it.
Shifting focus.
Completely. You bring your desired objective, Jacob, so close in your mind that you can feel it as solidly real, like mentally placing your hand on smooth skin.
Feeling the desired reality.
Yes. Now, the deception happens when you open your physical eyes. Esau, your old world, rushes back in, and it seems to deny the reality of what you just felt.
Yeah, that happens.
But here's the crucial instruction. You must remain faithful to that subjective reality you felt. Jacob, you gave it the blessing, the feeling of reality.
Trust the feeling over the senses.
Exactly. And it will come into your objective world. You don't need to help it or figure out how. Like a seed, it grows by itself once planted correctly.
So it's not denial, it's just redirecting focus and staying loyal to that inner feeling that's subtle but huge.
Absolutely. It's all about where your attention lives. And that leads us to the last big example, Deuteronomy 34, Moses' obituary.
Moses writes his own obituary.
That's what the text implies. He writes it, then dies, and is buried so completely no one knows where.
Okay. What's the psychological meaning there?
This is the technique of dying to what you currently are. Whatever state you want to leave behind, illness, poverty, limitation.
Dying to the old self.
So completely that no trace remains.
Yeah.
A total transformation of consciousness just rubs out all evidence of the past.
Wow.
Moses, the name means to draw out. He personifies the power in you to draw out what you seek from within yourself.
Okay.
The plains of Moab, meaning mother, father, that's your consciousness, your I am-ness, the source you draw from. The mountain of Nebo is your desire, your prophecy, seeming hard to reach. The peak of Pisgah is the act of contemplating that desire, gazing upon it, until you feel Jericho, a fragrant odor, satisfaction.
The feeling of fulfillment again.
Always. And the hills of Gilead, those are the witnesses. The whole world around you, people, circumstances that will conform and bear witness to your fulfilled assumption.
So when the outer world reflects the inner assumption.
The prophecy is fulfilled. You've so completely died to the old you, remained faithful to the new, that no one can find where that old man was buried. You can't take any part of the old into the new.
That idea of dying to the old self, it's profound, maybe a little intimidating too. So translating all this, what does it mean for you, the listener, right now? This deep dive seems to give a very clear, practical technique.
Yes, very practical. The source claims anyone can prove it. It boils down to a simple formula for changing your future.
Okay, what are the steps?
All right, step 1, desire. Be crystal clear on your objective. Know exactly what you want. No vagueness.
Got it. Clarity first.
Step 2, construct an event. Create a short mental scene and action that implies your desire is already fulfilled. It has to happen after the fulfillment.
Okay, like the consequence of it being done.
Yes. And importantly, you must be the main actor in it, like someone shaking your hand for the promotion or you stepping into the new house.
Right, actively participating.
Step 3, immobilize and induce drowsiness. Lie down, get physically still, relax. Enter that state akin to sleep, drowsy but still aware enough to control your thoughts without strain.
That state where things feel more real.
Exactly. And now, the crucial action. You must mentally feel yourself right into that scene, here and now.
Not watching it, but being in it.
Yes, you have to participate. Feel the handshake, feel the steering wheel, whatever it is. The imaginary sensation needs to feel totally real, like it's physically happening. Make elsewhere here, make the future now.
That's the cue shift.
And the source advises restricting the idea to one single specific act within that scene, like climbing that specific flight of stairs in your new home.
Focus on one simple action.
And repeat that single imaginary action over and over until it takes on the feeling of reality. This keeps your attention from wandering. Luke the feeling. Pretty much. Or an alternative method.
Yeah.
In that same relaxed state, just repeat a short phrase, like a lullaby, that implies fulfillment. Something simple like thank you, thank you, thank you. Feeling grateful, as if it's already done.
And the source actually mentioned results, didn't it? Something about students trying this.
It did. It reported that 35 out of 135 students saw their specific desires realized within 2 weeks of applying this technique consistently.
That's pretty striking success rate for something so internal.
It suggests it's a reliable process, yeah. And here's another critical point. You are completely relieved of all responsibility for the how.
You don't need to figure out the steps.
Nope. Your dimensionally larger self, your deeper consciousness, handles the means. Think of it like planting a seed. You prepare the soil, plant it, water it, but you don't engineer the growth.
The seed knows what to do.
Exactly. Your assumption, felt as real, is that seed. Don't worry if your logical mind thinks it might harm someone else. The source says there are ways you know not of.
Trust the process.
And don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Don't discuss your assumption with anyone, not even yourself, by trying to consciously reason out the how. Just accept that what you felt to be true is true, period.
Wow. This deep dive really uncovers this incredible potential within our own consciousness, our imagination, reframing these ancient texts as, well, a practical guide.
It really does. A guide to creating your reality right here and now.
And that final thought you mentioned earlier is powerful.
Yeah, you cannot take any part of the old man into the new man. As you assume what you want to be, the old self just dies. And everything connected to that old concept of self dies with it.
A complete break.
Totally. You bury the past so completely by staying faithful to your new concept of self that the future itself couldn't find where you buried it.
So, the final thought for you listening. What singular felt experience can you create in your imagination tonight? One that would absolutely signal the fulfillment of your deepest desire. And what part of your old self are you truly ready to bury so completely it can never be found again?